September 6, 1976, Chuguyevka Air Base, Soviet Far East. Lieutenant Viktor Belenko climbs into the cockpit of his MiG-25 Foxbat. The morning air is cold. His hands are shaking, but not from the temperature. He's about to commit treason. The MiG-25 is the Soviet Union's most advanced interceptor, capable of flying at Mach 3, designed to shoot down American bombers before they reach Soviet airspace. Only elite pilots are trusted to fly it. Belenko is one of those pilots, and today he's stealing one. The plan for months, Belenko has been planning this moment. He memorized flight paths, studied radar coverage gaps, calculated fuel requirements. One mistake means death, either from Soviet missiles or a crash into the Sea of Japan. His commanders believe this is a routine training flight. Belenko files a standard flight plan. Everything appears normal. He straps into the ejection seat and starts the engines. The two massive Tumansky R-15 engines roar to life. Each one produces over 24,000 pounds of thrust. Tower clears him for takeoff. Belenko advances the throttles. The MiG-25 accelerates down the runway. At 360 kilometers per hour, he pulls back on the stick. The Foxbat lifts off Soviet soil for the last time. The escaped Belenko follows his approved flight path initially. Soviet air defense radar tracks him. Everything looks routine. He maintains radio contact, acknowledging instructions from ground controllers. Then he makes his move. Belenko banks hard to the east, toward Japan. He descends rapidly, dropping to low altitude where radar coverage is weakest. He switches off his transponder. The radar signature disappears. Soviet air defense commanders stare at their screens in confusion. Where did he go? Within minutes, they understand. The pilot is defecting. Scramble orders go out immediately. Two MiG-25s take off in pursuit, but Belenko has a head start, and he's flying the same aircraft they are. They won't catch him. Soviet commanders face a terrible decision. They could order surface-to-air missile batteries to shoot him down, destroy their own aircraft rather than let it fall into American hands. But Belenko is already crossing into Japanese airspace. It's too late. The landing Belenko approaches Hakodate Airport on the northern Japanese island of Hokkaido. This is a civilian airport, not military. He chose it deliberately. Air traffic controllers see an unidentified aircraft approaching. They try to make radio contact. Belenko doesn't respond. He's focused entirely on landing. The MiG-25 was designed for long concrete runways at military bases. Hakodate's runway is shorter. Belenko touches down fast, very fast. He deploys the drag chute and stands on the brakes. The Foxbat finally stops near the end of the runway. Belenko opens the canopy and climbs out. Japanese airport security surrounds the aircraft, unsure what to do, Soviet or American. They don't recognize the type. Belenko speaks no Japanese. He uses hand gestures, points to himself, points to the sky, points to the ground. Finally, someone understands. He's requesting asylum, the intelligence goldmine. Within hours, American intelligence officers arrive from Tokyo. They can't believe their luck. The MiG-25 Foxbat has been a mystery for years. Western analysts feared it was an unstoppable superfighter. Soviet propaganda encouraged this fear. They released carefully edited footage of the MiG-25 breaking speed records. They claimed it could outfly anything NATO possessed. American engineers designed the F-15 Eagle specifically to counter this threat. They assumed the Foxbat was highly maneuverable, with advanced avionics and sophisticated weapon systems. Now they have one sitting on a runway in Japan, and they can take it apart. The CIA moves quickly. They negotiate with Japanese authorities for access. The Soviets are demanding the aircraft back immediately, claiming it violated Japanese airspace by accident. The Japanese stall, giving Americans time. The examination engineers transport the MiG-25 to a hangar. They begin the most detailed examination of an enemy aircraft in aviation history. Every component is photographed, every dimension is measured, every system tested. What they discover shocks them. The MiG-25 is fast. That part is true, but it achieves speed through brute force, not elegance. The airframe is built primarily from steel, not advanced titanium alloys as assumed. It's heavy, very heavy, over 20 tons empty. The engines are powerful, but primitive. They can only sustain maximum speed for a few minutes before overheating, push them longer, and they destroy themselves. The electronics are outdated. The radar uses vacuum tubes instead of transistors. Why? Because vacuum tubes are more resistant to electromagnetic pulses from nuclear explosions. It's practical, but crude. The weapon systems are disappointingly simple. The missiles have limited range. The fire control system lacks sophistication. Most surprising, the aircraft has almost no maneuverability at high speed. It's designed to fly in straight lines, intercept bombers, fire missiles, and return to base. In a dogfight with an F-15, it would lose badly. American engineers realize they've been afraid of a paper tiger. The MiG-25 is impressive in specific scenarios, but not the super weapon they feared. After 67 days of intensive examination, the Americans carefully reassemble the MiG-25. They document everything but leave no obvious signs of their inspection. The aircraft is loaded into crates and returned to the Soviet Union. Soviet engineers immediately examine it for tampering. They find evidence everywhere: scratches from tools, disturbed fasteners, missing fluids. They know the Americans have all their secrets now. The Soviet Air Force makes immediate changes. They modify the MiG-25's identification codes. They update communication frequencies. They assume every technical detail is compromised. They're right. The intelligence from Belenko's defection reshapes Western military planning. The F-15 program continues, but specifications change. Engineers now understand they don't need to match the MiG-25's raw speed. Maneuverability and advanced avionics matter more. American pilots receive updated threat briefings. They learn the MiG-25's true capabilities and limitations. The psychological advantage shifts. Soviet pilots no longer have an aura of invincibility. Belenko himself receives asylum in the United States. The CIA relocates him, gives him a new identity, and sets him up with a new life. He eventually becomes a consultant for aerospace companies, sharing his expertise about Soviet aircraft and tactics. The Soviets sentence him to death in absentia for treason. He can never return home. His family faces persecution for his defection. The legacy Belenko's defection represents one of the greatest intelligence coups of the Cold War. A single act of courage or betrayal, depending on your perspective, gave the West complete insight into Soviet aviation technology. The MiG-25 wasn't the only benefit. Belenko brought detailed knowledge of Soviet tactics, training methods, and military doctrine. He described life inside the Soviet Air Force, the poor maintenance, low morale, and systemic problems. This intelligence proved invaluable. When American and Soviet aircraft finally met in combat during later conflicts, Western pilots held every advantage. They knew exactly what they were facing. The lesson was clear: technology matters less than intelligence about that technology. The MiG-25 remained a capable aircraft in Soviet hands, but it was no longer feared. The mystery was gone, and that made all the difference.